Okay, so these are the new talents for Druid. They changed the Druid class tree as well. So I wasn't able to like wait, this connection was not on alpha when I tested it. This hibernate connection. I did not see that, I don't think. Whatever. Okay, so let's just go through these talents because I did not actually have time to think about these properly because I had to like, you know, do so many things. So I was not able to like sit down and look at these talents properly. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go through the talents that are basically required for Moonkins first. So I'm going to do like a Moonkin tree basically. Alright, so we want magic damage increase, of course. We want Astral influence, but we need more points to go down here. So what else would we need here? So there's nothing we actually really need. Let's see. But thick height is only reachable if you go down here, this side. So and wild charge is actually here. So I think as a Moonkin you're forced to go wild charge, right? Like what are you gonna do without wild charge? So you have to go frenzied region. You have to go. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go Iron Fur, but you have to use like one useless talent basically. Like you either have to go with Thrash or with Iron Fur to get to Killer Instincts to get to Thick Hide. So you have to do one of these useless things. It is what it is. So you go with this. And I guess we need to spend some more points to be able to go down. I mean, I guess you go with this. Or you go with Rejuvenation and Remove Corruption. It still sucks that you have to go Rejuvenation to get Remove Corruption because Rejuve is so useless, but oh well. Okay, so then you go Thick Hide. Wait a second. I mean, you could go with this as well, right? Killer Instinct. It's more armor, which is not super useful, but it's probably less useful than Improved Bark Skin and Frenzied Region, right? Anyway, then you go for the extra range here, and you go for Starlight Conduit. So Wrath starts with Starfire damage increased by 5%. Starts cooldown is reduced by 4 seconds, and its mana cost is reduced by 50. This is like a Rest of Druid thing, obviously, because we don't have a cooldown in it. Alright, then. So we have Rising Light, Falling Light, which we have to pick up. So we go with Renewal, and we have to pick this one up, and we have to go Lore of the Grove. Right, so, but we can't go down here yet. So from like the needed talents, there is nothing left here, I believe. Yeah, none of this is actually 100% needed. So here you would want to go with Thick Hide and Ursok Spirit. Stamina and Bear Form is increased by 10%. And of course you want to go with Wild Charge. And now you have the option, you can go like, Vortex, Typhoon. Ooh, Survival Instincts and Barks can reduce damage taken by an additional 10%. Wait, that is actually, I did not see that one. Ooh, that is very nice actually. Vigor only has 1 point now too. The problem is we don't have that many points. Well, we should be able to reach this, actually. We need Likara's teaching as well, and we need Lore of the Grove. Healing you receive is increased. I mean, that's also kind of nice. Here, I mean, I would probably just pick Typhoon and Vortex. And then, I mean... There aren't like many super useful points anymore. I mean, unless it's raging and you want to go soothe, or it's incorporeal, you want to go hibernate. You can go to armor increase, which, you know, it's okay, but not necessarily needed. Methods for... I mean, this used to be pretty bad, but... You would have to go just useless talent to get to oak skin, which sucks a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure we're doing that. Alright, so we need Lucara's teaching and we need Lore of the Grove. How many points do we have left? Oh, 7 points. Okay, this is actually really cool. Did you guys see this? Fluid form? This is actually really cool. So Wrath and Starfire shift you into Moonkin form. So that means you need less globals if you want to shift into any other form. So if you, let's say you Incap Roar or you Stampeding Roar or you just Bear form generally, then you cast Wrath and it like shifts you into Moonkin form. Still have to Talon, Clone, Roar, and Soup. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, this is really cool. So here, I think what you do is you go Oak Skin. Like, I think you just go down this side for M+, and probably for rating too, honestly. Like, you have to pick this stupid talent that does nothing, but... And then I guess you go Innervate. Or a Vigil. I mean, here you can choose between... Like, if you're raiding, you don't need Incap Roar, right? And then you go Innervate. You kind of want to improve Stampeding Roar, though. So... I don't know. I mean, 30% DR is really good for Bark Skin, though. Like, having a 30% DR every minute is pretty nice. Yeah, I don't know. We'll do something like this, I guess. Alright, then let's look at the Moonkin tree. So they changed quite a lot with the Moonkin tree. Alright, so we have shooting stars up here. And I guess solar beam is still like a requirement, which, you know, it's whatever. So here, like in the upper tree, it's very similar to how it was before, where you just take the standard talents. Like, you don't have much options here. If you don't want Starfall, you still have to pick up like these kind of weird talents that you don't necessarily want that much. Like this. But mainly, I'm not gonna go for a full single target. What is this? We're gonna... It's still a 1 minute cooldown solar beam. Oh well, I guess it will. I guess it just will just... but yeah, so most of the time we will go with your kindling, I guess, usually. And then, so we have Celestial Alignment is a 15-second duration only now, which is kind of interesting considering it's a 3-minute cooldown. At 3 minutes to do 15-second cooldown, nice. Alright, then the removed Pulsar. Arcanic Pulsar is just not a talent anymore. We have the option between Greater Alignment and Orbital Strike. So Greater Alignment increases the duration of Celestial Alignment. And Solar Eclipse increases nature damage done by an additional 5%, and Lunar Eclipse increases arcane damage done by an additional 5%. Which is pretty good. So it makes your cooldown stronger. And then we have Orbital Strike, which reduces the cooldown of Incarn by a minute. So we have 2 minutes Incarn. And it does like Astral damage and applies Stellar Flare. I was not able to test this because it disconnected me every time I pressed this button on alpha. So I wasn't able to see... Because the last time we had Orbital Strike, it was like this kind of like beam in like a line. But they reworded it now, and I think it works a bit differently. Because it's blast all enemies in a targeted area rather than... Like, it's not like a targeted line anymore, I think. I think it's literally just like an area, kind of like a blizzard or something. But I don't know, like I wasn't able to test it. Then they incorporate a lot of the talent, a lot of the set bonuses into our talents now. So we have Nature's Grace that was reworked into Dream State. No, not Dream State. Yeah, Dream State. So when Eclipse ends or when you enter combat, enter a Dream State, reducing the cast time of your next 2 starfighters or rafts by 40% and increase their damage by 50%. So this is the same as the current set bonus. Then Umbral Intensity still the same. With Smolder, we have something called Stellar Amplification. Star Surge increases the damage the target takes from your periodic effects and shooting stars by 12% for 5 seconds. Reapplying this effect extends its duration up to 20. So this is actually interesting. It's like a single target talent. It's kind of weird because Smolder is not necessarily a single target talent. So the fact that it leads into this... Well, it's fine though because you pick it up either way. The only thing that would be weird is if I pick up Flare and I don't want Smolder, but then I want this, it's kind of weird. I know. Either way, this is definitely not an AoE talent. So we have Soul of the Forest, Umbral Intensity, Winning Twilight. Touch of the Cosmos, casting Wrath in an Eclipse has an 80% chance to make your next Star Search free. And then for Starfall, casting Starfire in an Eclipse has a 10% chance to make your next Starfall free. So this is always, like the Touch of the Cosmos is it's also a set bonus. Wait, Smolder no longer based on crit? Oh. Interesting. Huh. Oh, yeah, it sucks that they need to do 2 points here, because the second point is not as valuable, right? Because the percent chance is not getting increased. Look at that. Like, the first point in Smolder here is a lot more valuable than the second point. Because it doesn't increase the chance of it proccing, it just increases the damage that it does. But the main reason... Well... Part of the value of Smolder is to proc Waning Twilight, right? So if you only wanted to proc Waning and not necessarily for the damage, then it kind of sucks that you have to put a second point in to get Cell Amplification, but I guess it is what it is. And then there's Cosmic Rapidity, Star-Lord. Also, Touch of Chaos being connected to Umbral Intensities. Again. This weird Umbral Intensity thing. I don't know why this talent is there. Like I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do with sell it. But I guess it is what it is. Okay, then, let's see. We need connections here. So there's something called Umbral Inspiration. Consuming Umbral Embrace increases the damage of your Moonfire, Sunfire, Starfire, Shooting Stars, and Starfall by 27 for 5 seconds. It's kind of weird that it's only 5 seconds. Like... I don't know, like, I feel like that is... I don't know. I mean, 20% is a lot. I don't know if this is like a play. I don't know. How many points do we need here still? Just one, okay. Okay, so if we do this, I think Touch of the Cosmos. I mean, I'm not sure how good this... I don't know. I don't think Touch of the Cosmos is actually that good. Especially if you have to put 2 points into Umbral Intensity, if the tuning of this talent is not that good. Like, you're not going to waste points to get this. I don't think it's worth. Because the chance of it proccing is not that high. And on AoE, you have a lot of... like, this would be a single target talent, if anything. For single target, I can see it being good. For AoE, I don't think so. Because on AoE, first of all, you don't cast as many Starfires as you cast Wrath on single target, right? And I think the odds, like the proc chance, is not high enough for Starfire. For Wrath, yeah, because on single target you cast a lot more Wrath. On AoE, you don't cast as many Starfires, right? Because you're dotting a lot, you're doing other things, like you're busy like using other globals. So you're not sitting there casting Starfire, right? And you also generate a lot of Astral power on AoE anyway. So I'm not sure if this is that good for AoE. For single target, maybe. But then again, you have to pick up Umbral Intensity. I don't know. I don't know. And then we have Sundered Firmament here. And we have Orbit Breaker. Every 30 years shooting stars. Yeah, so... Balance of all things. Starweaver, Redless Stars. They changed Astral Communion a bit. So you now have more Astral power and you get a 12 Astral power for entering Eclipse. Which I think is actually pretty cool. But, yeah. The problem is, again, that it's like down here. Not sure if it can compete with all of these other talents that we have here. It depends. So here, I assume we want Incarn. I mean, I'm not sure, but I assume we also want Redless Stars. And depending on what talent tree we want, I assume we also want Fear of Elune and Radiant Moonlight if we go with this, like, this Fear of Elune talent tree here. And then we somehow want to pick up this, so maybe we go with this and that. Then Harmony of the Heavens starts to surf increase your current Eclipse, Arcane, or nature damage roll and spend additional 1% up to 5%. And this is another, like, set bonus, right? Which, to be honest, without Pulsar, this is not that good anymore, right? Because we cannot extend our cooldowns are shorter. And Pulsar does not extend our Eclipse anymore, or our Incarn anymore, because we don't have it. Therefore, the value of this talent is actually quite a lot lower. And then we have Denizens, which... I don't know, I think this part of the tree is probably not that good in comparison to what we have here. Not sure if you even go Orbit Breaker, or Sundered, maybe. Well, Sundered you probably go with the Fear of Elune talents here, right? Wait, let me look at these talents again. I forgot what they do. Alright, so Fear of Elune now ends with a flash of energy blasting nearby enemies for Astral. Okay, yeah. So that alone would make Sundered Firmament already worth it, because I assume it procs on all of Fear of Elunes, but I'm not sure. That is also something that you would have to test. I didn't manage to test a lot of the Moonkin talents because I wanted to test the actual content that was available. on alpha yesterday. So I did not test that many things. And the Orbit Breaker did not work. Like, it just didn't work, so. So how many more points do we have here? 4. Huh. Well, let me look at these talents first before we do the rest here. So because you have like so many points, you just get everything, right? Like, you get all of these talents. The only thing that you have to think about is like the choice options. So Moonfire and Starfire generate 2 additional Astral Power. Free automatic Moonfires from... Okay. So it's just extra Astral Power, yeah. Moonfire deals 10% additional damage. Therefore, Moonkin form reduces arcane damage taken and other magic damage taken. Enemies damaged by Full Moon, Fear Balloon, or Lunar Beam take 4% increased damage from you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we have Incarnation, Chosen Balloon, Incarnation, arcane damage from spells and by 10% while active. So you 10% more damage, or astral damage and arcane damage in Incarn. Which is good, but Incarn is shorter now. And we don't have Pulsar, so the value of this may be not as high anymore. And then we have this. Moonfire damage is a chance to call down a Fear Balloon to follow your target. Oh, this is for sure better, right? I'm sure this is better. 1.25 procs per minute. I assume this is better. Okay, then. Enemies affected by Moonfire are slowed. Using Wild Charge while in bear form or Moonkin form increase search. Okay. I mean, the slow is actually kind of nice, but it depends on what the affixes are in dungeons, and in a raid the slow doesn't matter. So in a raid you would always go Loon's Grace, and in a dungeon you might go with the slow. Then arcane damage from your spells and abilities increased by 3%. Your arcane abilities reduce the cooldown of your balloon by 2 seconds, and the cooldown of new moon, half moon, and by 1 second. So I still think that, because all of these talents would work with both moons and with Fear Balloon, but I think it makes a lot more sense with Fear Balloon than it makes sense with Moon. Like, I think, like, obviously, I'm not, like, a theory craft or anything, but the moons, the problem with the moons is that a lot of them have to be casted, and you get a lot of bonuses from casting the moons or the Fear Balloon, right? But reducing the cooldown of moons is not always, like, a good thing. Because instead of casting other spells like Starfall, Star Surge, Starfire, you have to cast moons. Like, just the time that you have to spend to cast the moons can be, like, a bad thing. With Fear Balloon, this is not necessarily true. Because, yes, you have to cast Fear Balloon once in a while, but it's 1 GCD. And you have a lot of talents that just make it proc. Like Standard Firmament, for example. And this talent here, the Light of a Loon. So I don't see this talent tree working that well with moons. I can see it working well with Fear Balloon, but with moons, I don't know. It seems like you would have to spend so much time casting moons to make this worth it, which is probably not good. I mean, it all depends on scaling and tuning or whatnot, but I think this is like a Fear Balloon thing rather than a moon thing. Alright, so then we have Stellar Command. Increase the damage of Fear Balloon and Full Moon by 15%. Increase the damage of Lunar Beam by 30%. And then we have Starfire deals for... Yeah, this is an interesting talent. So Starfire deals 40% increased damage to its primary target, but no longer triggers Solar Eclipse. This is... I mean, it's very interesting. This is just going to be a number thing, right? Like, this is... If you play these talents, are you going to do more single target damage in Lunar Eclipse or not? Presumably, yes. Because we don't have Pulsar procs anymore. So a lot of the benefits from this tree are only going to be available in the lunar eclipse. Like you get a lot of arcane damage increase and stuff like that. So presumably it's always going to be better to go lunar with these talents. Even on single targets. And especially if your Starfight does 40% increased damage, then I assume it's just better to go lunar with this. But then you lose out on the 50% damage on Fear Balloon. So this just... Yeah, this is just a math thing, right? You basically lose Solar Eclipse. If it's worth it or not, who knows? Alright, and then... the Flash of Energy now generates 6 astral power and its damage increased by 50%, yeah. Alright, so... Considering these talents, you would for sure go Radiant Moonlight, right? And then the other talents, I don't know. I mean, Balance of All Things, probably. But I don't know. I mean, these seem not so good. And mushrooms are also not fitting that well into this talent tree. I think mushrooms are probably not a thing. I think these 3 talents are probably not going to be good with this. First of all, mushrooms do nature damage, and we don't have Pulsar anymore, and you're just going to be Lunar Eclipse. And it's like an extra, like it's extra globals that you have to spend on mushrooms when you would want to be casting like Starfires and other stuff instead. So I think like these 3 are probably just not going to be that good. So the only things you would want to pick here is Balance of All Things or Power of Golden if you want more single targets. Elun's Guidance always like a good option. It's a math thing. And Astral Community is also like, do you need Astral Power Generation or is it useless? Because the extra Astral Power that you get is not really relevant, but the Astral Power you gain from entering Eclipse is nice. So I assume you go something like, I don't know. Wait, what is this now? Okay, so it's 10%, 20%, decreasing with... Okay. I don't know. You could do something like this. Or pick up Astral Communion. Go like this, like an AoE build. Yeah, maybe something like this, I don't know. The other tree, did they change that one? Let me take a look. Alright, so Dream Surge. Force of Nature grants 3 charges of Dream Burst, causing your next Wrath or Starfire to explode on the target, dealing nature damage to nearby enemies. So it has target cap as well. Did the other one have a target cap? It doesn't say anything about a target cap on this one. So for AoE, this seems better. But they both seem to be like an AoE thing, except that this one is maybe more of like a smaller, like a cleave kind of thing, where maybe it does more damage, but it's not target capped. Or it is target capped. And it has nature damage, which is... Like, I think anything that does nature damage is just bad for AoE without Pulsar. Because we're not going to enter Solar Eclipse on single targets. So Mushrooms got nerfed passively because of Pulsar getting removed, right? So now we don't have... Like, we're just going to be in Solar Eclipse a lot less often. than we were before with Pulsar in AoE. Thanks for 42 months, Xylin. What's up? Thank you, thank you. Alright. Then, Transit the Moon. Your chains cast Moonfire nearby targets about once every 6 seconds. I personally think this is a bad talent. I think this does kind of nothing. Your max mana is increased by 5%, your max astral power is increased by 30%. This is also like a nothing talent. If you have this talent though, and this talent, then you have 140 astral power. Which, to be fair, it does make you a lot more mobile, I would say. Well, I don't want to say a lot more, but it certainly does make you more mobile because the astral power you're spending at the start of an eclipse to get your Starlord up and stuff is not going to be all of your astral power. So you can hover astral power and actually use it while moving, without losing as much damage because you're not stacking up your Starlord anymore. So, and this is just an 8% DR, but you have to cast Regrowth, which is it's okay, but I'd rather have the thing from the other build that is like a permanent magic DR. Then casting Star Star increases the damage of your next Star Star by 10%, staying up to 2 times. Casting another spell cancels effect. Yeah, this is a very weird talent. I don't like this talent at all. Yeah, I really don't like this talent. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't know. This is like the same thing as Star-Lord. I mean, it fits in with the other talents. But, I just don't like this playstyle where you just enter an eclipse and you spam a bunch of spenders. I mean, this kind of, like, it synergizes well with Astral Communion and Expensiveness, but it removes the exact thing that I just said earlier. You know, when I said that Expensiveness and Astral Communion together would make us more mobile? Now this removes it again. So now, if you want to use this properly, you have to get rid of... Yeah, I understand that they're... Okay, so... Here's the thing. We had a legendary legion called the Emerald Dreambinder, right? And the Emerald Dreambinder was a legendary that... if you cast a Star Search, you get a buff for 2 seconds that reduced the cost of your Star Search by some astral power. If you cast it again, it's stacked up again. And then you were, like... Basically, it created a playstyle where you were weaving in spells. So you were like, you casted Star Search, Wrath, Wrath, Star Search, Wrath, Starfire, Star Search, Wrath, Wrath, Star Search, New Moon, Star Search, Full Moon, Star Search, until you were completely out of astral power and you were trying to gain as much astral power as possible during the cycle, and then you pulled up all the way again. Which was an interesting playstyle, and I actually liked it a lot. But it was a pure single target playstyle, and it was... it made you very mobile. And it only really worked because we didn't have an Eclipse system back then. And it was only fun because of... I feel like because of this... The weaving of the spells made it fun, because to me personally, because you had to like really change your playstyle depending on how much haste you had, and it was just kind of fun. And now I feel like they're trying to bring back this ED playstyle, but without the fun parts, only the bad parts. Because the bad parts about ED was that it made you immobile. And that's what these talents are doing. Like Rattle and Star-Lord and the Scenarios Might, they all kind of quote-unquote forced you to spend all of your astral power at the start of the eclipse, which makes you incredibly mobile because you're not allowed to pool astral power as like a mobility benefit, which is something that in my opinion, Moonkin really lacks. With like that's a fun part about being a caster, is that you can play around movement. But with this new talent tree and with us being forced into Rattle and Starlord and into maybe this talent as well, we can't do that. We cannot play around movement without losing a lot of damage. And I think that really sucks. Because that is what made... Like that, I feel like that's what really is something that as a caster you want to play around, right? As a caster, playing around movement and not losing so much damage while moving is like a skill that you can learn, and I think it's a cool skill to have. It makes a caster, right? A good caster will be able to play around movements by losing as little damage as possible. And a not so good caster will lose a lot of damage while moving. And Moonkin in the past had the capability of pooling Astral Power just in case you had to move, so you could spend your Astral Power while moving, so you don't lose any damage while moving. But yeah, all these talents that I said are just completely ruining that part of Moonkin playstyle, or caster playstyle in general, because if you don't spend all of your Astral Power, then you don't get the full benefit of these talents, and you lose damage. So you either use all of your Astral Power to get the full benefit, and then you lose damage while moving, or you don't use all of your Astral Power, which means you lose damage because you don't get the full potential of these talents, but then you wouldn't be losing as much damage while moving. So it's like a trade-off that both feels bad. So I don't like that they bring these kind of talents, but if they, yeah, I don't know. I just don't like them personally. Maybe some people like this kind of playstyle where you enter an Eclipse and you spend all of your Astral Power, and then you pool again. Like maybe some people like this. I personally, I'm just not a fan. So I don't like this tree is like, it's not my thing. Then we have Power of Nature. Your Force of Nature trains no longer taunt and deal 1% increased melee damage. Your Force of Nature trains have 5% increased health. I also don't like that this tree is focusing on Force of Nature, because in my opinion, Force of Nature is just like I don't like Force of Nature because the trees are pets that cannot be controlled, and I don't know, like it's just I don't like pets at all personally, but especially pets that cannot be controlled, that just attack whatever and can't do anything about it. It's like, I don't know, not a fan. So this is, yeah. Then, Wrath and Server damage increased by 12%. Orbital Strike applies to Electrify for 4 additional seconds. Pulsar grants 2 additional seconds. Wait a second. I guess they have to change his talent. Then, every 5 Regos you cast makes your next Wrath Star... Okay, every 5 stars you cast makes your next Rego for any other instant. There's a lot of utility talents in this tree. Force of Nature grants additional stack of Dream Burst. So there's might increase spell potency by an additional 5%. Time elapsed while your major ability are available to be used. 600 abilities cooldown after next time you used it, up to 5 seconds. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think this tree just sucks. I really hope numerically it's not better than the other tree, because this tree, in my opinion, I don't like it. I just don't like the implication it has on my playstyle. It might be better number-wise, which, to be honest, I doubt. If anything, it would be better for single target. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the stream. I don't like it.